We're ready. We are so ready.
I always do that. I'm a night rider. Every time that I go up past midnight, I swear I get higher. Swear I gotta get higher now. I'm a night rider. Every time that I give what I got, I supply that fire. I supply that fire, man. I'm a night rider. Every time that I go up past midnight, I swear I get higher.
Coming fresh off the watching of another Scotty Scheffler win this year, as Scotty Scheffler and Tom Kim went down to a playoff hole at TPC River Highlands here in Cromwell, Connecticut. Scotty Scheffler brings home another win, marking his sixth or seventh of this season alone. Unbelievable run of play here by Scotty Scheffler. The most interesting story to me is the group of 4 protesters that decided to run onto the green at the 18th hole at TPC River Highlands here in Connecticut to end the Travelers Championship with a bit of controversy. What were they protesting? I have no idea. You know how the TV broadcast kind of seems to pan away. I'll have to dive into that a little bit deeper as the days progress here and see if I could make some sort of report on it at one point or another. Anyway, welcome to Bookmarks with Bump, our third and probably the most charming episode since Third Time is the Charm, where I dive into a little bit of anything that I seem to find interesting while I'm scrolling through the Twitterverse. I like to give it a comedic, motivating, encouraging take that could be inspirationally stupid at times. But nonetheless, I saw something here as I was scrolling through, and it reads as so. Ever feel awkward speaking your mind? And if you manage to find the words, it comes off as cringe? It's frustrating because you're a great person inside, but struggle to show it. This is all due to the delay theory. And there is a picture here with many brain scans. The thread goes on to read, chances are you've been suppressing your natural thoughts for a long time. This is why your mind goes blank in conversation, which leads to overthinking social situations, losing confidence, and avoiding them in general. Let me break it down. Our minds filter what we say because of conditioning and fear. When the filter is too high, nothing you say is good enough. So obviously, you'd run out of things to talk about. Why is it this way? Trying to impress and win people over is causing this, killing your authenticity in the process. I felt the exact same. I would hesitate vocalizing my honest thoughts because it wasn't cool enough or the perfect response. I reverted to asking bare questions like I cared. I didn't. I knew it. They knew it. Conversations were painful. My vibe was fake, and I didn't enjoy them until I reframed it. Anything I said was enough because it was coming from me. This simple belief transformed everything. There was no pressure to perform. I enjoyed and expressed the stupid thoughts on my mind. I laughed. Others laughed. Being aligned with yourself is addictive. It feeds the soul. Also, it felt energetic after socializing. Common issue for introverts. It all came from repeating one sentence to myself. Say it. That's it. If you have a thought, say or do it immediately. This rewires a new pathway into the mind and destroys the old one of doubting your words. Of course there's nuance. Don't blurt out dark jokes at corporate 9-to-5 job. Won't go down well. Understand the context of the situation. Otherwise you'll be good. This thread was by Sosa. He goes by an anxiety coach here on Twitter. You never really know who anybody is in the Twitterverse, or the internet in general. Anybody could really just come off as whatever they say they want to be, and if they say enough big words or string enough together, they'll seem intelligent enough to fake it till they make it. But a lot of things in here really struck a chord with me. Let's start with trying to impress and win people over. To me now, as I've grown and matured, I don't really try to win people over. There's really no reason to. This thread to me is kind of just more about believing in yourself and understanding Everybody's an individual in one way or another. We're all a little bit different. We all have our quirks. We all have different types of things that make us tick or things that make us different, a different sense of humor. And a lot of people understand that. But some people who tend to have some social anxiety or anxiety in general or, problems socializing, being introverted, they won't see that as fact. One thing in this world that you'll have a hard time doing is reading other people. And I think that's because they're not really meant to be read. People are just people. They're meant to exist as they are, do as they please, and hopefully somewhere along the line have a desire to do the right thing. I think that when you're trying to win people over, you're actually acting selfishly. And this is going to be a trending topic a lot throughout the podcast as I've come into the third one here, and I see this as something I bring up a lot, and that's acting selfishly or unselfishly to achieve a goal. A lot of times in life, even when you're working on your own, you need to rely on teammates, and you need to work together and provide good leadership. And one way to be a good leader is to be real. Don't fake it, don't lie. Don't give off the vibe that everything's okay if it's not. Be transparent. Transparency is it's a really big push in the right direction. If you're transparent with the people around you, you'll truly get the help that you need in situations where you need it. And sometimes all the help you need is really just being accepted, being able to be yourself. He goes on to say, anything I said was enough because it was coming from me. And this simple belief transformed everything. If we go back to last week and we talk about how to change your life and how the thought process that you go through kind of dictates the way you'll feel about the things that you're doing, this is another huge confidence booster. If you believe in what you're doing, that means you believe in yourself. And if you believe in yourself, then whatever comes out of you is something that you can believe in too. So just say how you feel. I've really seemed to, in the last few years, just really come into my own. I don't have as much of a fear of judgment of what other people would think of me because I'm saying my mind all the time. And if you don't lie, you don't have anything to remember. The truth is the first thing that's always going to want to slip out of your tongue. Imagine the freedom you feel when you're not telling stories anymore and you're just living. Imagine that kind of stress in having to take notes on the lies that you've told throughout your life. That would be harrowing. Here, the one thing I don't agree with is, of course there's nuance. Don't blurt out dark jokes at corporate 9-to-5 jobs. I guess my job's not that corporate. I don't know. I've tended just, when I say be myself, I mean, I really let my humor fly when I'm at work because I'm trying to introduce more of a good time. And if something's going to make me laugh, I'm going to say it. I'm going to spit it out. I'm looked at as unique because of the jokes I might pull out of my hat. Nobody knows really what I have up my sleeve because neither do I. It's just coming out as it flows. And when you're having conversations, when you're not trying to think of these different picking points and the conversation is flowing and you're just being yourself, those are the best conversations you can ever have. And there is energy that comes from it. He says here, I laughed, others laughed. Being aligned with yourself is addictive. It feeds the soul. He also felt energetic after socializing. And a lot of times when I come away from a conversation nowadays, that's how I feel. I feel like a boost. I feel like, okay, I made that person laugh and I was just saying something that I thought was funny. Or, I picked that person's head up when they were feeling down. Those are the kinds of things that puts wind in my sails. Quite clearly, if I'm sitting here doing a podcast, trying to encourage and motivate people and give them a laugh at the same time, then yeah, that's something that really boosts me up. That's something that really picks me up. But I feel it when I come away from an interaction that goes positively. Or if it goes bad and I just still stay true to myself. If you're sticking in the pocket, if you're having a debate with somebody, if you're speaking your mind and they speak against it, Of course, you stay open to the options, but if you can stand for yourself and walk away from that with your head held high, the boost you get from that is incredible. Just another piece to help you want to believe in yourself. If you go back to the first episode, I spoke about a thread from a man, Shaan Puri. I guess this guy is quite the prolific tweeter. But he caught my attention with this tweet here. How do you become the type of person who makes great decisions? I fill this out every time I make a major decision. Examples: big investment, starting to sell a company, etc. Nothing that I've really done, but who knows, maybe that's something I'd be interested in. But it seems like we're moving in a good direction. It goes on to read, then I revisit it 1 year later and look at my line of thinking. Without writing it down, I lie to myself later. Oh, this is kind of what I was just talking about. You know, you hold yourself accountable to the truth. You stay on the up and up. You start to believe in yourself more and feel better about yourself. And carry yourself with a different weight. So let's see what this list says. The decision survey. What is the decision? That's number 1. Okay, this is like a doctor's type of test. Number 2 is, what am I feeling? A, extreme fear. B, some fear. C, neutral or bored. D, some greed. E, extreme greed. Interesting. Greed. This is definitely business type of questions. Number 3, what is the one decisive reason to do this? Number 4, what are the secondary benefits? 5, if I took all secondary benefits away, would I still make this decision? No, maybe, yes. 6, what triggered the decision? 7, what alternatives did I consider? A, B, or C? 8, is this a reversible decision? 9, what makes me think this is the right move? 10, what makes me think this might be the wrong move? 11, upside of right. 12, downside of wrong. 13, what follow-up is important to make this decision more successful? 14, when and how will I know if this was a success? 15, walk through the scenario. What are the next 5 things to happen after you do this? That is the decision survey, which will be posted in the description on the YouTube, Apple, and Spotify descriptions underneath this episode. Decision survey. So I like this. What triggered the decision? You know, if we're talking business here, let's not even relate this to business because I'm not a businessman. Let me just stick to things that I know. As a matter of fact, let's go through this as if I'm just starting the podcast. 1, what is the decision? Beginning a podcast. What am I feeling? I guess I'd have to say C, neutral or bored. Maybe I'm starting the podcast out of boredom and I need a productive hobby, something to keep me creative, something to keep the gears turning, something to keep me trying to motivate and push people in the right direction. Neutral, I wouldn't say I'm afraid of it. I've had my voice out there in multiple different platforms in multiple different ways. There's really nothing to be afraid of at this point. You know, I believe in myself. And I know that there's belief in me. Through my faith, there's belief in me. And through my faith, I can do all things. So why wouldn't I try whatever it is that I want to try to spread a good message? Or at least give somebody a laugh. Number 3, what is the one decisive reason to do this? Because I'm compelled, and I feel like my voice could be heard, and it could be helpful to some people. And that's what we're put here for. We're put here to serve others and help others. And if the best way for me to do that is to put it out there for the masses in an encouraging way, week by week, then that's what I'll do. Until I find the other purpose. Until I find the best way to fit that purpose. But until then, I'm going to do what I can, because for long enough, I haven't done anything. 4, what are the secondary benefits? The benefits would be that my voice reaches people, and it helps people. Other benefits outside of that include a listenership, Who knows if this could turn into me giving speaking engagements for recovering addicts or, people who have dealt with struggle in their life. I could get advertisements or something of some sort of monetary gain sorted to this podcast. Kind of the secondary benefits are endless, you know? And if you took all the secondary benefits away, would I still make this decision? I'd say yes, because if you go to the one decisive reason, I was drawn to. And if I'm drawn to, what's pushing me away from that? What triggered the decision? I'd say feeling inspired and motivated triggered the decision. What alternatives did I consider? To a podcast, nothing really. I mean, maybe this podcast is one of the alternatives. I started with vlogging a long time ago, and, that turned into letting my creative outlets go in different directions, and I've considered so many alternatives. Maybe this is the C, and this is the thing I'm trying last, that I should have been trying first. Is it a reversible decision? It is. What makes me think that this is the right move? Just once again, being drawn to it. That might be the answer to this question time and time again. What makes me think this might be the wrong move? I haven't had that thought yet. Upside of right, I help a bunch of people. I make somebody smile. I make somebody's workday go by better. Those are all good reasons if you ask me. Downside of wrong, nobody listens. And that's okay because I've been saying this stuff in my head for the last 5 years. What follow-up is important to make this decision more successful? Just staying consistent with it, doing it week in and week out. I think that's probably how I would find success with consistency and hard work and the will to do whatever it takes to make it a good podcast. When and how will I know if it was a success? Well, in a way, I already feel like I did. A few people had messaged me after listening and saying they were motivated and they were inspired. I've been very encouraged along this process between my friends and my girlfriend and, my family telling me that it's good for me to say these types of things and in ways that they've admired the way that I think. And they've found motivation and inspiration and encouragement from me. So if all I wanted to do was help one person, and I have multiple already letting me know what I've done for them, then it already is a success. Walk through the scenario. What are the next 5 things that happen after you do this? I continue to do it. I continue hearing from people, getting the feedback, and inspiring and motivating. What other things could happen? So that's 2. 3, maybe I get a sponsorship deal. 4, I continue to do it. And 5, I continue to do it. That's it. That's all I'm going to do is just keep doing it. I don't really care what comes from it. I'm doing it with good intent. And if you have good intentions in mind, then feel free to do whatever it is that you please. When you're occupying yourself, it helps make things easier for you. Easier for you to process, easier for you to stow away whatever it is that you need to do mentally. When you're productive and you're creative, you're kind of easing a bit of stress that you'll gain throughout life because life is hard. And that's what I save this bookmark as. It's just another excerpt from a book here. And there's, a bit of a heat of warning perhaps, or maybe just a little bit of encouragement when you're feeling down on yourself. But it reads as, marriage is hard. Divorce is hard. Choose your hard. Obesity is hard. Being fit is hard. Choose your hard. Being in debt is hard. Being financially disciplined is hard. Choose your hard. Communication is hard. Not communicating is hard. Choose your hard. Life will never be easy. It will always be hard. But we can choose our hard. Pick wisely. So we'll relate this back to the first week again. This is exactly kind of what Tom Brady was saying in his speech. I wonder if he stole it from this. No matter what you do in life, you're going to find difficulties. And the best way to get through them is by exercising your disciplines. you're going to run into a bunch of roadblocks in life. You're going to run into a bunch of situations where you're embarrassed, maybe you're afraid, maybe you think you made the wrong decision. Maybe you just don't know what's going on and you're confused. That's what life's all about. Navigating through those rapid waters. Taking off the blindfold and looking fear in the face. They say marriage is hard, divorce is hard, choose your hard. Would you rather have a partner with you battling through life, helping you build, helping you climb, encouraging you when you need it? Even if they're trying to hold you accountable and they might not communicate that to you the best way. Maybe they don't know exactly how to push you in the right direction. I'm sure they're never really coming from a bad place. But then if you choose divorce, you think about the mess that leaves behind, both emotionally and materially. Materialistically? One of those words will work. Obesity is hard, being fit is hard, choose your hard. Obesity is hard. When I was 24 years old, I was waking up, my back and knees were hurting. I felt like I was 40 years old and I was out of shape. I was almost 300 pounds. Being fit was probably the hardest thing I ever did, but when I was doing it, getting into shape, it felt good. It felt like I was working towards the right thing. These things that are difficult, yeah, they're difficult, but are they rewarding you? Why don't you think about that when you're making this decision when it comes to two hard things? Which one is more rewarding? What do you get the most out of? Do you get the most out of being in debt or being financially stable? Do you get the most out of having things or you get the most knowing you have the security to fall back on whatever you need? Nobody's coming looking for you. Nobody's taking anything of yours. Communicating, yeah, it's hard because sometimes you're going to have to say those things that you might not feel comfortable saying. We'll go back to the delay theory. You might not feel like that's what you need to say or that's what you want to say. You might be in a situation where you're just saying what you're supposed to the whole time. But what you're supposed to is what you never said, and that's how you actually feel. It's a lot more difficult trying to communicate or not communicating when you're not getting yourself across and you're just doing what you think you're supposed to. Be you. Be you. It helps make life easy. It will never be easy. There will always be difficulties. But if you choose the right decision, if you do choose wisely, those hard things get a lot easier. And even the hard things have some cheat codes. So we talked about obesity and being fit and them both being hard. I had a thread here that I bookmarked that had 26 health cheat codes. This person says that 36 he wished he knew when he was 26. Number 1, the most demonized foods like eggs and meat are actually the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet. Number 2, cut off food 3 hours before bed. Cut off fluids 2 hours before bed. Cut off screens 1 hour before bed. You'll sleep twice as deep and wake up twice as energized. So on 1 and 2, those are things that are very, very important to me. The first being the most demonized foods like eggs and meat, being the most nutrient dense. So eggs have complete proteins in them, all 9 amino acids needed to create a complete protein. When it comes to them being demonized, for a long time we looked at fat levels as being what causes heart disease, what clogs your arteries, the levels of fats that you're eating. When in reality, what we've been doing here is building an insulin resistance due to the refined sugars that we use. And through that, we've created such a bread-based diet that people develop an insulin resistance that makes it harder for them to digest and process their food, storing more food away as fat, and causing more sickness than helping. He mentions here to cut off food 3 hours before bed and fluids 2 hours before bed. I'm not too sure about fluids, but I do know that our metabolism slows down as we come to rest. Cutting off food 3 hours before bed is a great way to help your heart beat healthier while you're asleep. Yeah, you might feel hungry, but you're not hungry. You have plenty inside of you, and it's just burning off right now. And your heart is working harder while you're asleep. So if you wake up in the middle of the night and you eat, it takes a lot of energy to burn food in our body. And when we're sleeping, we're trying to conserve energy. Every night we hibernate. 3, if it comes in a package, 99% of the time it's not healthy. 4. Save that cup of coffee until after that first glass of water. Some sun in your face and a few steps. You'll be amazed at how much better that caffeine can be put to use. Yeah, I believe that. I do oftentimes start my day with caffeine and not get the jolt or burst of energy that I'll need. And then there's some days where I don't have any for a long time, and I feel the same as any other day where I wake up with a cup of coffee. I think I have a huge caffeine addiction, if we're just being transparent here. I drink way too much of this stuff, and I don't think it's really doing anything for me. You know? It's not fun anymore, man, which means I should probably cut it off. 5. You only gain the power to change once you take complete ownership for every part of your life, which is absolutely true. Accountability is the number one way to move forward in the right direction. Without pointing the finger at yourself, pointing the finger everywhere else, you'll never think you need to change anything, when that couldn't be further from the truth. Everybody has something they need to work on. Point the finger at yourself and try to figure out what it is. 6. Creatine isn't reserved for bodybuilders. It helps muscle growth and athletic performance, but it also improves cognitive functioning and brain health. Take it daily. I'd love to look into the way that creatine helps brain health. I haven't really heard that. You hear all the myths of creatine just being added water to your body, and I never really took a lot of. I don't really take a lot of supplements as far as working out goes. I'll have a protein shake after. I tend to try and do what number 4 says here, or number 3, and just eat whole foods that aren't coming in packages. I mean, besides the chicken breast, everything comes in a package. What am I talking about? I shop at the store. I don't have a farm, and that's the goal one day, to have my own farm where all my food is farm to table, and I know where everything came from. I know I'll have to bite the bullet and cut a couple chickens' heads off, but if that's what it takes to be healthier and live longer and feel better and avoid the nonsense that they feed us here, then yeah, I absolutely will. The food regulations here, the sugar lobbies and all sorts of agricultural bans have tried to really change the way that we eat here, and it's not right. You look around and you see nothing but unhealthy people, and you go to other foreign countries and you see the way that their FDAs and those administrations work. They're working to actually help the health of their people, not just, I don't know, it seems like we just try to get the most bang for our buck. 7. The more protein you eat for breakfast, the fewer empty calories you'll eat later in the day. Protein is very satiating. I have a high protein breakfast when I start the day, and I feel light and I feel like I can move. And it's not even when I start the day. I intermittent fast from 8 p.m. to 12 noon. Noontime comes around, I'm feeling very light on my feet. I go for my run when I get out of work. And sometimes it's like I don't even need to eat after I run. But I do it because food is fuel. It's not for pleasure. 8. Avoid the middle aisles at the grocery store at all costs. They aren't filled with food. They are with artificial chemicals engineered to keep you dependent and addicted, and this is something I hear all the time now. You hear this all the time on, your Dr. Oz and The View or whatever little sit-down talk shows that they talk about, but I'm happy that this is starting to get more attention. Inside of those aisles, and I learned this when I was stocking shelves, which is when I started to turn my health around, all of these things are filled with artificial flavoring and artificial chemicals. And you look in the ingredients list, and a rule that I like to go by a lot of the times now, unless if I'm, enjoying a nice ice cream, is if I can't pronounce what's in this ingredient list, I'm not going to eat this. 9. Prioritizing sleep and stress management are just as important for your health and weight loss as a consistent workout routine. This is true. Stress will change your gut health. Stress will change your metabolism. Set clear times to check in on yourself. Meditate, pray, make sure you're getting 6 to 8 hours of sleep. And if you don't, give your body rest. Listen to your body. When you need time, take time. If you don't think you could work out that day, don't work out. If you're not feeling up to it, don't push yourself through it. Listen to your body. 10. The easiest way to cut bad eating and drinking habits is by pursuing real, massive purpose. Yeah, I'd say that. Like when I took my half marathon training in the beginning of everything, like this is something that I need to do to change my life. That was my purpose in that time. And I was never more accountable than that. 11. Your ability to lead your family as a father is closely tied to your ability to lead yourself. And leading yourself starts with taking ownership of your reality, your health, and purpose. This is something we spoke on recently in the church that I go to, New Hope Baptist Church in Torrington, Connecticut. We talked about the dichotomy of the family and how the father is, he's never going to be like Jesus, but he needs to lead with faith. Without showing your faith to your family, how can you depend that your family will be faithful? So when it comes to the home, be the most faithful man inside of it, and the others will follow. This is a very similar premise to that. Be the person you want to be in the world. So many times we get discouraged when we go into the real world and we see how things are and people act. But despite all that, you have to be the person that you want to see. 12. You'll get significantly better results adding 2.5 pounds to the bar and maintaining proper form than adding 25 pounds in ego lifting. Leave your ego at the door. The only person you need to compete against is yourself. I love this. I live by this in the gym. I might, not have the heaviest maxes in the world, but I'm lifting with good form. I feel great. I look great. And that's really all that matters. I'm moving great. I'm not in position to hurt myself. And I stress this to my little brother all the time, who I mentioned started working out with me. It doesn't matter how much is on the bar. It matters how you move it. 13. The most important ratio is protein to calorie ratio. The more protein you get for every calorie, the better. This is true. You want to maintain a protein level that it's at least 1 gram of protein per pound on your body. 14. Systems work better than goals for weight loss, but having a goal to aim at is still important. To a man with no destination, no wind is favorable. Now we're talking about putting wind under my sails. No wind is favorable here when you have nowhere that you're moving towards. This relates back to having a purpose. What is your purpose in being fit and healthy? What is it that you're aiming for? What is it that you're striving to be? Without knowing what that is, you'll lose the path to get there. You need a path to get somewhere. You don't just go in and start throwing things around. You want to grow here? Work on this. You want to be better here? Let's do this. What is it that you need to take hold of? 15. A 15-minute walk after each meal is the most important habit you can form for digestion and metabolic health. 45 minutes of walking a day will easily have you losing 20 pounds in a year. Now, will it easily? I mean, it's possible if you don't change anything at all and you just start walking, but it all depends on what you're eating. You do need to be in a caloric deficit in order to lose weight. But this will definitely start to change your habits if you just begin to structure in a walk. The more you structure throughout your life, the more you'll be willing to structure. 16. Put breakfasts and lunches on autopilot. Prioritize protein. Find something you enjoy and eat the same few things daily. There's no better way to ensure you're staying on track for weight loss goals. I find this to be extremely true. I eat a lot of the same things every day, and some people say, "Hey, doesn't that get boring? Doesn't it taste like anything?" As if they have nothing inside of their spice cabinet. No, it doesn't get boring. I can switch this chicken up any way I want to. It all depends where the wind blows me. And on top of that, hitting a goal never gets boring. 17. Who you spend your time with is essential. If every social event is focused around food and alcohol, chances are you're going to have a tough time meeting your goals. But if you're around people who are active and healthy, their habits will rub off on you. Number 18. The older I get, the more I realize zero positive results come from drinking alcohol. It makes you fat, increases the risk of chronic diseases, heightens stress and anxiety, destroys sleep, and increases the risk of depression. Avoid. Avoid or just stop altogether. My life didn't get better until I stopped drinking. My life didn't get better until I got sober. And even then, it was a little bit of a struggle in the beginning, but I really weeded out a lot of the things from 17 and 18. By getting rid of alcohol, I removed a lot of negative effects from my life, negative factors, negative situations where anybody could be in them and bad things could happen. The lack of judgment that comes from drinking alcohol is definitely a huge factor when it comes to how things can go bad. And the lack of judgment makes you think you're having fun when in reality you're just having a terrible, terrible time. When in reality you don't know what you're having. You're lost. When you're drunk, like truly drunk, you're lost. You don't know where you're at. You don't know what's fun. You don't know what's up. You don't know what's down. You're just drowning things at that point. And what good is that? It takes away the beauty of the world. Number 19, when you're eating, just eat. Don't watch TV, scroll on your phone, or listen to music. Lack of focus is an easy way to overeat. Try to be mindful so you can recognize when you're 80% full. This is something that I've always had a problem with. I've always ate too fast. We used to eat in front of the TV a lot. This is something that I've read about before, just the psychology of eating. Taking slower bites, chewing your food more. How much more satiated you feel when you slow down a bit while you're eating. I try to take like 15 minutes to eat now because I hear that's a good window, that's a good period, that's a good amount of time to just kind of sit down and enjoy what you're having and actually enjoy it, like actually eat it. Because if not, you're just kind of stuffing your face and it doesn't catch up to you. That's why you're supposed to take 15 minutes or more to sit down and eat. That's giving you time to digest as well as you're sitting there. And then you go, oh, I've had enough. Otherwise, you just eat, and you don't even realize how much you've eaten until you're full. And then you're full and you look back on it and you go, wow, I had a whole bag of Lay's potato chips. I ate 2 bags of Smart Food. I ate the cat's. 20. Anytime you cook protein throughout the week, always cook extra. Eating a chicken breast instead of a granola bar is an extremely high ROI swap. We're talking return on investment here when it comes to food. The protein being your satiator instead of your carbohydrate will definitely help you out in the long run. It'll help you gain more lean mass, and the lean mass will burn more calories. And the more calories you burn at rest, the easier it is to lose weight and lose fat. 21. Learn to enjoy the process of cooking. It's a life skill and the easiest way to take control of your calories, hit your protein goals, and limit inflammation in your diet. And it's fun. It's really fun to cook. And it's really nice to cook for somebody or have somebody cook for you. It's like an extreme gesture of love, I guess. You're really showing somebody a lot of love by giving them the care. You're really showing somebody a big amount of love and care by cooking them a meal, taking that time to feed them. It's the number one necessity of a human being is to have calories to expend. So when you're doing that for somebody else, you're taking care of them. You're being a real caretaker. And that's a huge way to show love. 22, an underrated way to keep weight off is building more muscle. Muscle increases NEAT, which burns more calorie at rest. So as you build muscle, you burn more calories, even when you aren't moving or working out. This is a lot of what I've talked about throughout this process here. Yeah, you want to keep building lean mass. It burns more calories at rest. It takes more energy to carry muscle on your body than fat, and ultimately it helps you through life. Lifting weights and staying strong and building muscle is a great way to improve the quality of your life, and also it provides a sense of injury prevention as you grow older. Number 23. Man, this is long. There's a lot of tips in here. Number 23. The number of calories you burn in a workout is not important. The only thing that matters is, did you stimulate the muscle effectively to add more muscle? And this is true, and this is something that people focus on a lot when they're working out is calories in, calories out. Really set your goals to, hey, I'm going to burn this many calories a day, and I'm going to eat this much a day, no matter what. And set the bar a little bit lower than you expect you're going to hit. Don't worry about the calories when you're lifting weight. Worry about the form, the technique, and like it says here, the stimulation of muscle. 24. Avoiding liquid calories can save you 10 to 20 pounds a year. Sodas, juices, and alcohols. They're empty calories and make you fat. Now, if you don't eat anything at all and you have 2 sodas a day, I'm sure you're getting energy from that, but this is very true as far as when it comes to insulin resistance. If in between meals you're drinking juices that have sugars or calories in them, you're really continuing to spike your insulin throughout the day and take away your body's ability to burn fat for energy. 25. Use Sundays to plan for the week. Taking 15 minutes on Sunday to plan your meals will save you thousands of calories worth of bad decisions during the week. And this is what I do a lot on the weekends. I spend time on the blacktop griddle, and I'm cooking up chicken to prepare meals throughout the week. I grocery shop every Thursday, and then over the weekend I go, okay, I'm going to do this day, this that day, and bingo bango. I don't have to go out spend any money on extra food or anything like that, and it helps keep me accountable. It's good to go into things with a plan and be prepared. Number 26, and this is the last one. Money means nothing without health. You don't want to be the guy who works his whole life to retire at 65, but can't do anything with his newfound freedom because he neglected his health. Remember, a healthy man wants a million things. A sick man wants one. Just like I've talked about on the last few episodes, the best investment you can make is an investment in yourself. The better the investment you make in yourself and the more you last, the more your investments last, the more you'll be able to reap what you sow. That's a lot more valuable than just having a ton of money, stressing yourself out, working 4 jobs, running all over the place back and forth and not giving yourself any time to do the things that you love. Love is a big thing in health. Cook for yourself, that shows love. Cook for other people, that shows love, that takes away that stress, that reduces that stress. Life is hard, decisions are hard, things get hard, but with love, things get easy. Show love to God, show love to your family, show love to the people around you. Whatever it is that's going to help you feel healthy and strong, lifting weights, going for walks, stick to those things. Hold yourself accountable to those things. That'll give you the best chance at living a great, rewarding, fulfilling life. We had a ton of health tips there. Went through all of them. That dove in a lot further than I thought it would. But I'm happy with it. It was great. And I think that makes a great 3rd episode. I think I'll wrap it up on that one. It saves me plenty of bookmarks to thumb through. Gives me more material for episodes looming in the future. Because like I said, I'm just going to keep doing it. That's what the decision was. I made that decision. I'm going to lie in this bed. And whether it's a business move or a passion project, I'm happy to have you all here listening. Still maintaining throughout this, as I checked on the Spotify and Apple podcast, I'm maintaining 5 stars, and I can't express how much I appreciate that to each and every one of you listening. Thank you for showing love and encouragement. Thank you for pushing me forward as I'm trying to push y'all. Until the next time we sit down at the bookshelf, I'm Bump and I'm signing off. Have a great week.